Now, we've got lots coming up. If you want to be a part of the show, you can. 03717223344. We'll start the show off with quite a fascinating, interesting debate, actually. Should matches be replayed for clear and obvious errors?
Shawty's like a melody in my head that I can't keep out. Got me singing like na 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 every day's like my iPod stuck on replay.
Somerville wants it. He's got his back to goal. He's turned away and slipped it to Lonto. That is a magnificent Leeds United goal.
You expect offsides given it was too clear not to be.
I've seen many referees lose control of a game and letting the emotions of a game get the better of them.
No goal technology. We wait for the VAR. We are checking. No, it's no goal technology. No goal technology.
It's one thing, an emotive, ranting, deranged manager after a game having his say. It's another thing, the football club coming in behind, demanding, banging their hand on the table saying, we demand this, and we can say what we want about whoever we want without any consequence.
Now, I think this is going to be a real interesting debate, actually, because, I don't know if you're aware of it, but the Barcelona president, Joan Laporta, has called on the Spanish Football Federation to replay Sunday's El Clasico if there is conclusive evidence that Lamine Yamal's phantom goal should have stood.
I'm so glad I'm not reading that.
He said afterwards, hold on, there's more. He said, I think this is fascinating, though. He said, and I'm quoting here, if once this documentation has been analysed, the club understands that an error was made in the revision of the incident, we will take all available measures to reverse the situation without discounting, obviously, any necessary legal action, which I think is so telling. And also, put on the back of that, last night, Leeds scored a goal. No, I think Nonto scored it. That goal's offside.
Clearly.
It wasn't given offside. They went on to win the game 4-3 over Middlesbrough. So that controversial decision could be the difference, of course, between Leeds getting promoted and someone else. So I think it's such an interesting debate to have. If you're playing a game of football and a huge error, a clear and obvious error has been made, that when you look back, I'm also thinking of who scored the Liverpool goal when they played
Diaz.
Spurs? Luis Diaz, right? Now, they come out afterwards, the PGMOL, and said it was their mistake. It should have been allowed.
Yeah.
If you get such a clear... I'm not talking about one that's down to interpretation. Like, maybe...
Well, do you know what, but you could go as far back as, remember the first game after COVID? Sheffield United versus Aston Villa.
The
Goal
ball
line
went over the
technology
net. Yeah.
doesn't work.
Yeah. So something like that, right? And that is the difference between staying in the Premier League and getting demoted, right? I do think it's a great debate to be had, and we'll have it now, about if it is a clear and obvious error that no one can debate, should the game be replayed?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, that's all we've got time for today.
No. I mean, because how far... Because you talk about interpretation, like...
No, I'm not. That's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about
the lines will get so muddy.
Yeah.
I just think no. Like, if you talk about if technology breaks down, basically, because it's still, even with, you talk about offsides, forgetting to draw the lines, effectively, and then they replay.
No, I'm just talking about it. Do you know, okay, this is just from the top of my head. Remember Frank Lampard's ghost goal?
Yeah.
Right? Clearly over the line.
Yeah, of course.
No one can argue with that.
Yeah,
right? No one can argue with that.
No.
Something like that.
Yeah, no, I still think not replaying games all the time. Listen, it's all part and parcel of the game. And listen, I hate the fact that VAR doesn't work sometimes and that they make mistakes. Liverpool, Spurs, they don't draw the line, and then by the time play restarts, they're like, we can't go back. The goal line technology, Villa versus Sheffield United a little while ago. All these different decisions. The Nonto goal last night, where you can quite clearly see. But at some point in the Championship, and I know a lot of Championship fans, me watching Ipswich, there's nothing more refreshing than when a goal goes in and then you look at the linesman and he's on his way back to the halfway line, the goal stands. None of this waiting around. But if you're talking about replaying games, something happens every single game.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Okay, no, but another one.
Go on.
Because you talked about replay. So Nottingham Forest at the weekend, right? Those three decisions.
Yeah, but they're still down to interpretation.
But my point is, though, but one of those is a blatant penalty that they just got wrong, right? What do you do with that? You don't get to replay.
I don't know. This is the purpose of this conversation.
No, I don't think
let me exaggerate a point to prove a point. Right, as Jason Cundy says, we're in the World Cup final. England were playing Germany. 0-0. 2 minutes to go. They score that goal, the ghost goal.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't go over the line, but they give it.
Okay.
It doesn't go over the line. You can see in the replays, not over, not by but you can tell like half the ball is just not. They give the goal. They win the World Cup. Do you not think we should replay that match?
No, because it's part and parcel of football. Like, I get it, and it's frustrating when they don't.
Maradona's handball.
Again, but these are all. But that there's iconic moment.
I know, but for the wrong reason,
Right?
right?
It's for the wrong reasons, but we still look back at it and go, "Wow, what an iconic moment that is." But I just think when you start talking about replaying games. I mean, I just don't know where you draw a line with that, because you're going to get clubs coming out the woodwork going, I know it's not interpretation, but
playoff final, championship playoff final.
Listen, in whatever the
most expensive game in world football,
whatever the metric is, whatever the mistake is, I do not want to see clubs replaying games because of a mistake. I don't want to see that.
I'm on the fence with this one. I think if it's a massive moment, like a playoff final, like a World Cup final, maybe an FA Cup final.
Okay, just say it's a middle of the road game then. Well, and I'm talking about two teams in the middle of the table. We're getting down to the last 5 games of the season where they've got nothing to play for.
Yeah.
And
okay. I don't know the answers. That's a good question.
The technology doesn't work.
But here's the point: if you've got a club that's relegated from a situation that actually shouldn't have counted,
like Sheffield United.
Okay, they go down. They've got loads of players. I'm going long term, right? Mm-hmm. They've got loads of players on too much money.
Yeah.
Their income is nowhere near as big as their outgoings. Mm. The club then have to sell these players at a loss. Mm-hmm. Very much like the Leeds United scenario. Remember when they got to semi-finals of Champions League, spent way too much money, then they dropped down a division and so on. In theory, you could have a club going out of business because of an error that was made that shouldn't ever have happened.
Well, no, not really, because they should have been good enough in the first place. So if they're coming down to one decision that's relegated them, then that's their own fault, because they've had the Premier League's 38 games. If you're going down to one decision...
What about Arsenal?
I'd still be the same.
Last day of the season.
You
need a win to win the title.
Had 38 games to get the job done.
You need a win. Who's your last game against?
I have to look. I remember.
You need a win in the last game.
Yeah.
It's 1-1 with a minute to go. You score a perfectly good goal, not given.
Well, that's football.
Everton. You're playing Everton.
I'd be absolutely fuming, but it's football. But my point is, for a team that's relegated, if you're going to go back one decision and they got relegated, they should have been good enough for the 37 before that.
I know, but there's still moments throughout the season that can change the course. No?
I'm not replaying no games.
I hope that happens to you.
talkSPORT Drive. Super opinionated sporting debate. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.